I think that of all the books of the Old Testament, the book of Samuel, I think, is my favorite. And today I want to comment on the first reading. So at the beginning of today's first reading, God reproaches Samuel because Samuel is still upset and sad that Saul apparently will no longer be a king. But God basically tells Samuel, the only reason why Saul is no longer a king is because I'm no longer his king. I'm making away Saul from my plans because he has taken away me from his own plans. Remember that Saul started disobeying God in small ways. He started being self-sufficient, self-reliant. So the only reason why God turns away Saul, it's because Saul first turned away God. So then Samuel finds himself in need of choosing a new king, someone to be anointed. So he goes to the house of Jesse. And both Jesse and Samuel are mistaken because they think that the oldest son is the one to be anointed. Why? Because the oldest son was tall. And you know who was also tall? Saul. So they thought, well, I guess the new king has to be like the old king. And they both have to be like warriors and strong and tall. And they're forgetting that God can do new things. And sometimes we're mistaken that God will always do what he's continually done, but God can always surprise us with new things. And after Samuel goes through all the sons of Jesse, finally he asks him, are we missing someone? And yes, they were missing David, but if you think about it, Jesse, in a sense, had already discarded David. Because David was the smallest and he cared for the sheep and he was the last of the sons. But when Samuel sees David, he listens in his heart, this is the one to be anointed. So when David is anointed, there's a reminder for each one of us that many times those that are chosen by God are those that are discarded by men. And I see this continually in the life of the saints. For example, think about all the seers in the apparitions of our Blessed Mother. All the seers are, or most of them, they are illiterate and small and many times discarded. The seers of Fatima, the seers of Lourdes, the seers of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So there's always that common trend or that topic that God chooses those who are discarded. Let me finish with this. Today is a big day for us PES members because we commemorate one more year after Father Menor's passing, our founder. He passed away 34 years ago. And Father Menor, in many ways, like David, he was also discarded and the smallest of all the childs. Father Menor had a very weak constitution. He was extremely sickly. He also didn't do well in his studies. In fact, almost all of his theological studies, he couldn't do them because he was permanently sick. And for that reason, he wasn't allowed to do his formal profession of vows in the Jesuits. So in a sense, he was like a second-class Jesuit priest. And in many other ways, he was discarded by men because he was weakly or perhaps unable to study like the rest. But in his case, in the same way that in the case of David, he was chosen by God to fulfill a great mission. So today, brothers and sisters, let me finish with this question. Are you small enough for God to do great things through you? Are you discarded enough by others to be chosen by God to do great things? Let us remember that if we want to be instruments for our Lord, it seems to be that the condition to be great instruments is to be humble, small, and discarded.